Thank you, dear Professor Johan Dura, for inviting us to this seminar. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak on a topic that I am excited about. The topic has been introduced, but let me just restate it. Thinking about human nature and happiness with Jonathan Haidt and Jordan Peterson, a response to the challenge of transhumanism. And before I start my presentation, a word of acknowledgement is necessary. This presentation is made possible through the support of a grant from the John Templeton Foundation, New Horizons for Science and Religion in Central Eastern Europe. And I must also say that the opinions expressed in this presentation are those of the author and do not necessarily reflect the views of the John Templeton Foundation. Thank you again for this opportunity. The topic of human nature and happiness has been the subject of philosophical and psychological inquiry for centuries, and it remains an important and relevant issue today. In this lecture, we will delve into the views of two prominent thinkers, Jonathan Haidt and Jordan Peterson, and explore their perspectives on what it means to be human and what leads to happiness. Jonathan Haidt is a social psychologist and professor at New York University, known for his work in moral psychology and the study of the emotional and intuitive foundations of moral judgment. Jordan Peterson is a clinical psychologist, a former professor at the University of Toronto, and he is known for his views on the importance of individual responsibility, self-improvement, and the integration of ancient wisdom into modern life. The purpose of this presentation is to provide a concise exploration of the views of Haidt and Peterson on human nature and happiness, and to reflect on their relevance in the context of the challenge posed by transhumanism. By examining their perspectives, we will gain a deeper understanding of the complexities of these topics and the various factors that contribute to our understanding of human nature and happiness. And let me just leave this structure of my presentation here so that we know where I am in my presentation. So let's start with point number two, overview of the transhumanist movement and its aspirations. Transhumanism is a cultural and intellectual movement that advocates for the transformative potential of technology to enhance human physical and cognitive abilities. This ambitious vision seeks to extend the boundaries of what it means to be human, ultimately aiming to transcend our biological limitations. Transhumanism, as advocated by organizations like Humanity Plus, which used to be the World Transhumanist Association, maintains that not only we can, but we should, in fact, we must improve the human condition through technology. Because if we miss this opportunity, we are not using the full potential of what we can do as humanity. This belief is echoed by influential thinkers such as Ray Kurzweil, Max More, Natasha Vita-More, I have a few of them here, but also Nick Bostrom and Zoltán István and many others, who argue that technological advancements can significantly enhance human life and well-being, and thus lead to a more contented, fulfilled, and happy life. By drawing from the ideas of these influential transhumanist thinkers, and I don't have time to go into a more precise portrayal of their views, but by drawing from these ideas, we can better understand the movement's assumptions about the meaning of life and happiness, and how they envision a future where technology plays a crucial role in redefining human nature and our pursuit of well-being. However, these lofty aspirations raise concerns regarding the implications for happiness and the meaning of life. To better understand these challenges, let us delve into the typical assumptions held by transhumanists about the meaning of life and happiness. So let me focus on these assumptions. At its core, transhumanism tends to assume that the meaning of life is deeply intertwined with our capacity for progress and self-improvement. This perspective posits that the ultimate goal of humanity is to overcome our biological constraints and achieve a higher state of existence through technological advancements. Consequently, transhumanists often emphasize the importance of scientific research, development, and innovation in driving human evolution, the so-called principle of extropy or extropianism. When it comes to happiness, transhumanists typically believe that the achievement of happiness is linked to the enhancement of our physical and cognitive capabilities. They argue that by augmenting our abilities and enhancing our abilities, we can eliminate suffering, increase our productivity, and ultimately lead more fulfilling lives. Transhumanists often envision a future where technology can help us attain perfect health, longevity, and even immortality, contributing to a utopian vision of human existence. Please note that achieving immortality may mean that we will have to get rid of our biological bodies altogether and transfer ourselves into a digitized form of existence. And some, not all, but some transhumanists are aiming for this goal. A good example of such kind of thinking is the Hungarian transhumanist István Zoltán, who, among other things that he says and advocates, recently he spoke on the digitization of sex. So let me quote from him. Mammals use sex as a means to generate offspring, to experience pleasure, and for bonding with partners. Erogenous zones and orgasms are simply the product of chemicals firing in the brain. If scientists can replicate that feeling by firing signals from an implanted chip or a brainwave headset, then it might even be the end of sex altogether. We just do it digitally. So these assumptions about the meaning of life and happiness, as portrayed by transhumanism, come with potential pitfalls, obviously. By focusing solely on the technological enhancement of our abilities, transhumanism might inadvertently overlook the complex and multifaceted nature of human happiness. Happiness as we know it is influenced by a range of external and internal factors, including relationships, personal values, personal growth, and a sense of meaning and purpose in life. Moreover, the transhumanist approach to happiness might underestimate the significance of human struggle and adversity in shaping our experiences and personal growth. The elimination of suffering and the pursuit of a utopian existence could potentially lead to a loss of meaning and a decline in overall happiness, as individuals are no longer challenged by life's inevitable difficulties. By examining the hidden and explicit assumptions behind transhumanism's notions of the meaning of life and happiness, we can better understand the challenges posed by this movement. So let's delve deeper now into Jonathan Haidt's ideas, and I will introduce some of his core ideas to you and how these ideas pertain, what kind of light they can bring to our discussion on the potential threats of transhumanism. Jonathan Haidt is a social psychologist, as I mentioned. He developed the moral foundations theory to understand why morality vary so much across cultures, yet still show so many similarities and recurrent themes. In brief, Haidt proposes several innate and universally available psychological systems as the foundations of intuitive ethics. These foundations are the care-harm foundation, fairness, cheating, loyalty versus betrayal, authority versus subversion, sanctity versus degradation, and the liberty versus oppression foundation. Each of these foundations may be observed across cultures, and it's the varying emphasis that each culture or individual places on these different foundations that results in the diversity of moral values and rules. But he claims that basically all civilizations, all cultures share these foundations. They are expressed differently, and emphases might differ, but these foundations are common. When we examine transhumanism through the lens of Jonathan Haidt's moral foundations theory, it becomes clear that there could be profound implications for our innate moral foundations and in turn the collective happiness of society. One of the key aspirations of transhumanism is the enhancement of human physical and cognitive abilities. While this may seem appealing on the surface, it could potentially disrupt the balance of moral foundations as I laid them out to you that shape our human nature. For instance, let me give you some concrete examples. Consider Haidt's care versus harm foundation, which emphasizes our instinct to care for others and avoid harm. In a transhumanist future where physical limitations are minimized and health is significantly improved, the drive to care for others in the face of physical suffering may be diminished or even gotten rid of. This could potentially undermine the communal bonds and empathetic connections that are often forged in the face of shared struggle and common human vulnerability. Let's also ponder the fairness and cheating foundation. If only a certain segment of society has access to these enhancements due to economic disparities, it could lead to a significant imbalance in what is perceived as fair, leading to social discord and unhappiness. Transhumanism could also impact the sanctity versus degradation foundation, which is related to the notion of purity and the desire to live in we might call it a sanctified or a noble way, a noble manner. If our bodies become more machine-like or our minds become digitized, it would disrupt our sense of sanctity, leading to existential distress and a perceived loss of human dignity. Furthermore, the liberty versus oppression foundation, emphasizing our desire for freedom and autonomy, could be threatened if technological enhancements lead to increased control by corporations who govern these algorithms that influence or governments over individual lives. While Haidt's moral foundations theory doesn't necessarily argue against technological progress or many of the aims of transhumanism, it does caution us to consider the potential impact on the moral fabric of our societies. We must ensure that our pursuit of technological advancement doesn't undermine the moral foundations that contribute to the collective happiness and well-being of society. Now, let us address some of the limitations of technological advancements using Haidt's insights on happiness in his book, Happiness Hypothesis. In exploring the limitations of technological advancements, we can leverage insights from Haidt's probably most famous book, The Happiness Hypothesis. According to Haidt, happiness is not a linear product of external circumstances or possessions. Instead, it's significantly influenced by our internal psychological conditions and our relationships with ourselves and with others. While technological advancements, as promoted by transhumanism, can undoubtedly enhance our physical and cognitive abilities, they may not necessarily lead to increased happiness. For instance, Haidt posits that a critical part of happiness is derived from connections with others, moments of awe and transcendence, and also meaningful engagement in activities. The risk with a hyper-focus on technology and enhancement is that it may detract from these more subtle yet profound sources of happiness. There is also the consideration of the hedonic treadmill. I'm not sure if you're familiar with this, but Haidt discusses the concept of hedonic treadmill quite extensively in his book. This concept suggests that we quickly adapt to improvements in our lives, returning to a baseline level of happiness despite positive changes. So, you are poor, but you learn to live with it. And then you become richer, but after a while, you learn to live with it, and it's not enough. And you become bored, and then maybe you become even richer, but it doesn't bring you happiness long term. Yeah, that's the treadmill. You get used to these new levels, these new conditions. So you never have enough. You're always somehow restless. Yeah? Happiness is not derived linearly from this kind of improvement of possessions. So that's the hedonic treadmill. And it's not just about possessions, it's also about experiences and other things that we may accumulate. So following this theory, even if transhumanist technologies could elevate our abilities or improve our lives, we might not experience a long-term increase in happiness. This is what psychology is teaching us. Okay? There is no equal sign. It doesn't work this way. Instead, we may find ourselves continually seeking the next enhancement, the next upgrade, being trapped in an endless cycle of desire and temporary satisfaction. Moreover, there is the paradox of choice, which is another factor to consider. Technological advancements often lead to an increase in options that we have at our disposal, whether in the form of products, experiences, or even potential versions of ourselves. While choice is generally seen as positive, too many choices, too many options can lead to what the psychologists call decision paralysis or stress and dissatisfaction, potentially detracting from our overall happiness. Okay, so let's focus on Jordan Peterson now and his views as they come to us, especially from his book, Maps of Meaning, but also his 12 Rules for Life, two most famous books from Jordan Peterson. So in his first major book, Maps of Meaning, Peterson argues that humans are meaning-seeking animals. We have a deep need to find meaning in our lives, and this need is what drives us to create art, music, literature, and other forms of culture. Peterson also argues that humans are hierarchical animals. We have a natural tendency to form hierarchies, and these hierarchies are essential for our survival and well-being. These ideas come into focus as we think about what makes us human and how some of the transhumanist goals, not all, but some of them, and some notions of how to achieve happiness may lead us on the wrong path. So examining transhumanism through Jordan Peterson's lens, so to speak, we find ourselves in a territory where personal responsibility, values, and life's heroic journey, as he calls it, and I will explain, have a pivotal role in defining happiness. So again, personal responsibility, values, character development, and life's heroic journey. Peterson believes that life is not only about eliminating suffering, although, of course, some suffering must be eliminated and should be eliminated, but it is also about personal growth and the pursuit of meaning, even through adversities, even through suffering. In Peterson's view, the so-called hero's journey necessarily involves facing, understanding, and integrating the darker, more challenging aspects of life into one's own personal narrative. This journey, fraught with hardship, is seen as a necessary part of personal development. And it is through this process that individuals find true meaning and, consequently, happiness. Transhumanism, with its emphasis on enhancement and the elimination of adversities, suffering, and so on, may pose a potential threat to this process. If technology enables us to bypass life's hardships or artificially enhance our physical and cognitive abilities, it may inadvertently rob us of opportunities for growth and self-realization. It could leave us unprepared for the inevitable trials and tribulations of life, undermining our resilience and sense of personal achievement. The potential danger is that we might end up with a society that is high on performance but low on meaning. Let me say it again. High on performance but low on meaning, which could lead to a decrease in overall happiness. Furthermore, Peterson's emphasis on personal responsibility and values suggests a central role for individual agency in achieving happiness. According to him, we derive meaning and satisfaction from shouldering our burdens, carrying our burdens, and striving to improve ourselves and the world around us. Transhumanist ideas could risk undermining this concept of agency if the focus shifts too heavily towards reliance on technology as a means to better ourselves and our circumstances. So let me offer you a short synthesis of these both of the views of Haidt and Peterson, and see how these two people are helping us cope with the potential threats of transhumanism. The insights of both Jonathan Haidt and Jordan Peterson allow us to weave together a nuanced and comprehensive understanding of human nature and happiness that serves as a robust platform to respond to the challenges posed by transhumanism, in my view. So from Haidt's perspective, the moral foundations that underpin our societies play a critical role in shaping human nature and happiness. These innate moral sensibilities, evolved over millennia, are not just arbitrary societal constructs. They are integral aspects of our psychological makeup that deeply influence our behavior, our relationships, and our collective well-being. If transhumanist aspirations were to ignore or undermine these moral foundations, it could lead to unforeseen negative consequences for individuals, but also for societal happiness as such. Meanwhile, Peterson's emphasis on individual responsibility and the personal search for meaning resonates powerfully within this context. His view underlines the significance of the individual journey through life, with its attendant struggles and triumphs in the pursuit of authentic happiness. The transhumanist vision, with its focus on enhancement and the removal of suffering, if it is overdone, could inadvertently lead to a loss of this vital personal and existential dimension of meaning seeking, and therefore prevent us from leading a truly happy life. When we bring Haidt's and Peterson's perspectives together, we are left with a compelling argument for a more balanced approach to human enhancement. We begin to see the importance of preserving our innate moral foundations and the value of personal struggle in life's journey. We understand that in our quest for progress and enhancement, we must take great care not to lose the very aspects of our humanity that give life its deepest sense of meaning. In response to the challenge of transhumanism, therefore, our task is not to resist change or advancement. I'm not advocating for that, but to guide it with wisdom. Guide it with wisdom. It involves ensuring that our technological advancements are grounded in a deep understanding of human nature and are aligned with the conditions that truly promote human well-being and happiness. So let me offer you a few concluding thoughts. The core of my argument is the imperative to preserve moral foundations and personal meaning making in the face of transhumanism. As we navigate the precipice of this new era of human evolution, we must hold steadfast to these pillars of our humanity. Jonathan Haidt's moral foundations theory teaches us the intrinsic value of our moral compass that each of us carry in ourselves. Moral compass that is honed and refined over millennia of human existence. These moral foundations, varying across cultures, yet universally significant, have shaped the very fabric of our societies and our understanding of a meaningful life. Transhumanism, with its emphasis on technological advancement, risks disrupting these foundations, and this could be problematic. Simultaneously, Peterson's insights underscore the fundamental importance of individual responsibility and the pursuit of personal meaning in life. In our quest to transcend our biological limitations, we must not lose sight of the fact that it is our struggles, our commitment to personal values, and our individual journeys that imbue our lives with a sense of purpose. A future where suffering is minimized and human capabilities are enhanced to the extreme may seem utopian at the moment, but what if we could actually achieve a significant extent of this dream? Without the struggles that give rise to personal growth and development, we risk creating a society devoid of genuine meaning and therefore genuine happiness and fulfillment. The two major emphases that we can observe within transhumanism, performance perfectionism and human experience digitization, again, performance perfectionism is one emphasis, and human experience digitization seem to overlook the significance of human embodied experience, but also human vulnerability and fragility in shaping our personal development and interpersonal connections. The emphasis on performance perfectionism, while aiming to elevate human potential, may inadvertently diminish the value of facing challenges, making mistakes, and learning from our imperfections. These experiences are often essential for personal growth and the development of things like empathy, pro-social thinking, but also solidarity. Moreover, blindly following the cult of performance perfectionism would likely create a world where people are constantly striving to improve themselves, leading to anxiety and stress. If we are not careful, transhumanism could lead to a society that is obsessed with perfection, and this could have a very negative impact on our mental and emotional health. Similarly, the push for human experience digitization, such as mind uploading and simulated experiences, such as advocated by Zoltán István, these risk undermining the importance of authentic, embodied interactions and human genuine emotions. Our vulnerability and fragility, whether physical or emotional, are integral aspects of our humanity that allow us to build meaningful relationships, develop empathy, and foster personal growth. In addition to these two trends, transhumanism also tends to prioritize individual enhancement over communal well-being. This focus on personal advancement, while potentially leading to individual achievements, might promote a ruthlessly competitive mindset and overshadow the importance of cooperation, compassion, and interconnectedness that are crucial for a flourishing society. More importantly, the transhumanist pursuit of technological solutions to human limitations could potentially lead to an unhealthy reliance on external means to achieve happiness and well-being, rather than nurturing inner resources such as resilience, self-awareness, and emotional intelligence. This reliance may hinder the development of a more balanced, holistic approach to personal growth that values both technological advancements on the one hand and the cultivation of our innate human capacities. So with this, I would like to conclude my presentation. Thank you for your attention, and I'm looking forward to your questions.